So we will start. Gurureva gatihi gurumeva bhaje gurunaiva sahasmi namo gurave na guroh paramam shishurasmi guroh matirasti gurau mama pahi guroh. Saraswati namastestu veena pustakadharini hamsavahana marude vidyadanam kurushvame. So summary from last class. So we saw the Karmani Prayoga. So last class we have completed all the 4 pathas in your pustaka on Karmani Prayoga. So when we do a Karmani Prayoga, then Kartrupadam, we just go through the rules that we saw in all the 4 lessons. So Kartrupadam Tritiya Vibhakto Bhavati. Kartrupadasya Visheshanam Upama Vachaka. So the Karta can have a Visheshana in the sentence or a Upama Vachaka. If it is present, then we convert that also to Tritiya Vibhakti. Karma Padam always converted to Prathama Vibhakti. Again, Karma Padam can have a Visheshana or a Upama Vachaka. If so, then we convert that word also to Prathama Vibhakti. Kriya Padam Karma Padam Anusarati. So always after you write your Karmani sentence, look at the Karma Pada and the Kriya Pada. There should be Vachana Sambandha. Okay, so one should not be in singular and one should not be in plural. So Kriya Padam Karma Padam Anusarati. So always remember this. Then Yada Dvikarmaka Vakyanam Karmani Prayogaha. So when we have the Dvikarmaka Dhatus, in the sense there are 16 dhatus and tadarthakaha. So those dhatus which have the same meaning as the 16 such dhatus, they are called as Dvikarmaka Vakya. Okay, so they can have, it is not that they must have, there could be 2 types of karma padam. Okay, if present, then one will be the mukhya and one will be the gauna karma. So we all know how to identify the mukhya karma and the gauna karma. So normally the gauna karma can also be expressed using a different vibhakti. Okay, so we are mandating Dvitiya Vibhakti as per our intention, but it can also take some other Vibhakti, that is your Gauna Karma. So if the first 12 dhatu starting from Duhu to Mush, Duhu Yachu Pachu Dand, Rudhu Prach, Chi Bru, Ji Shas, Mathu Mush. If you have one of these 12 dhatus in your Vakya, then the Gauna Karma gets converted into Prathama Vibhakti. If it is the last 4, Ni, Hr, Krishu, Vahu, if you have any of these 4 dhatus in your Vakya, then you will have to convert the Mukhya Karma. So for the other Tadarthakas, you have to see which list they belong to. Say if it is a dhatu which has got the same artha, say take the Vad dhatu. Vad has the same meaning as Bru. So Bru is within the first 12. So we take the Gauna Karma and put it in Prathama Vibhakti. Yes, so you have to, the Tadarthakas, you have to check whose meaning matches, which dhatu's meaning matches, and as per that we convert either the Gauna Karma or the Mukhya Karma. But if it is one of the dhatu which is present in the list, then you will have to go by this only. Duhu to Mush, it is always the Gauna Karma. Ni, Hra, Krish, Vak, if it is there, it is always the Mukhya Karma which gets converted into Prathama Vibhakti. So this is what we saw in the final last part of the Karmani Prayoga. Here also the Kartrupadam Tritiya Vibhakto Bhavati. The other rules are same. Kartrupadasya Visheshanam Upama Vachakahava Tritiya Vibhakto Bhavati. Kriya Padam Karma Padam Anusarati. So all the other rules are same. Only for converting the Karma Pada, you should not convert both the Karma Padas into Prathama. And that is why we have this rule. Duhu Musha, the Gauna Karma gets converted. For Nihu Krishu Vaka, Mukhya Karma will get converted into Prathama Vibhakti. Okay, so today I will be posting exercises on this Karmani Lakara once again. So there are like around 20 questions. Try to answer them. Try to convert them. They are fairly simple questions and most of them are taken from your previous question papers. So you will get to know how easy it is. Okay, so you can try those. After the class I will post those exercises. You can try them. So this again. Karma Padas. If this same Karma Pada, if the Gauna Karma which you are converting into Prathama Vibhakti has got some Visheshana or Upama Vachaka, whatever, then they will also have to be converted into Prathama Vibhakti. Okay, so with this the Karmani Lakara Patha is over. So today we will do some Kridanta parichaya. So we will take a look into different Krit Pratyayas. This is just a very basic lesson. Okay, so we are not going deep. Right, we are just going to see the Pratyaya, what is the form it takes, okay, the final form it takes. So this knowledge is important because going forward when we start doing the Shakuntala Patha, you will come across words, Kridantas. So to understand them, I thought we will take this before the Shakuntala Patha. Explicitly, there is no lesson on Kridantas given in your Pustaka. Okay, so this is not from the Pustaka. There is one Pratyaya which is covered at this level. Okay, so I will let you know. So we will see the basics of Kridanta today, which is not this portion is not there in the Pustaka. So what is a Padam? So you all know Samskrite Padam Dvividham Subantam Tingantam. So Padam means the valid word which can be used in the sentences. So either when you speak Samskrita or when you write Samskrita, you should always use the valid word. So that word we call as Padam. So there are only two kinds of Padam. At the top level, there are only two kinds of Padam. Either it could be a Subanta or it could be a Tinganta components. So you can break down any Padam. You can break them up and find that it has got a Prakriti and a Pratyaya. A Pratyaya is a suffix. So you know about Pratyayas. So Prakriti means some base, a base, okay, to which we add a suffix and we come up with the Pada. So any Pada can be broken down into a Prakriti and a Pratyaya. So Subanta, for a Subanta, what is a Prakriti? It is a Pratipadika. Okay, so Pratipadika, you know, it's a base form. Say for Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, you learn the Rama Shabda. What is the title? Akarantaha, Pullingaha, Rama Shabdaha. Right? So Rama, the Akaranta Rama is the Pratipadikam. You can't use that word, okay, in your sentence, but you can use one of the 21 forms of Rama. Right? So this is the base word Rama, from which you add the Pratyayas and you come up with 21 forms. Those forms are the valid forms. They are called as Padam. They are the Subantas which you can use in your sentences. Right? So any Subantam will have a Pratipadikam, a base form, and then you add a Pratyaya. Okay. Say for example, Haribhyam. You have the Rupa Haribhyam, Hari Shabda. Right? So Hari is the Pratipadika, Bhyam is the Pratyaya. Okay, so Hari and Vyam, we get the form Haribhyam. Now, what is a Tinganta? You know there is a Dhatu. Always Tingantas, there is a Dhatu and you add the Ting. Of course, you add the Vikarana Pratyaya, all that you know. So, there is this major Pratyaya, is a Ting Pratyaya which you add to a Dhatu to arrive at the Lakara form, right, which is a Tinganta. So, for example, Pat and Ti is Pathati, right. So, these are the only two kinds of valid words. So, one is Subanta, which will always have a Pratipadika and a Supratyaya. The other is a Tinganta, which will have a Dhatu and a Ting Pratyaya. So, the Pratyaya is different. For Subanta, it is Supratyaya. That is why you call it a Subanta. Sup ante yasya. If the Sup sits at the end, okay, that is Subanta. If the Ting sits at the end, it is Tinganta. All the Lakara forms are called as Tingantam. Any Lakara Rupa, it will be called as a Tinganta because they are all formed from a Dhatu and a Ting Pratyaya. Right? The remaining words in any sentence that you take will be a Subanta. Okay? Except the Lakara forms, everything else is called a Subanta because we add a Supratyaya finally. And we arrive at those 21 forms and we use one of those 21 forms in the sentence. Okay? So, Pratipadikam, a base form plus Supu Pratyaya is Subanta. A Dhatu, a Mula Dhatu like Pat, Lik, Bad, you take the Dhatu and you add the Ting Pratyaya, you get the Tinganta. Okay, so this is at a very basic, level. We are not going deep, right? So now we will only be concentrating on the Subanta part here. We forget about Tingantam. We are not going to deal with Tingantam here. For the Subanta, we know it is a Pratipadika and a Supratyaya. So Subantanam Udaharanani. So these are some examples of Subanta. Ramaha, when you say Gauryaha, Aham, Kasmat, Sa. So these are few Subantas. Now when I break it up, right? So Rama is the Pratipadika and you have some Supratyaya. Don't worry about what Supratyaya is sitting there. There are 21 Supratyayas. Something is sitting there. So Rama plus Sup, you get the Rupa Ramaha. Then you have Gauri plus Sup. You will get one of the form is Gauryaha. Then Asmad is the Pratipadika to which you add a Sup and you end up with the word aham, right? Asmat shabda, you know the rupas, aham, avam, vayam. So for all these aham, avam, vayam, ma, avam, now what is the pratipadika? Asmad. To asmad you add different supratyaya and you arrive at the final form. So now we have memorized all the final forms, we know it. Now we are just breaking it up and seeing what is there inside that form. So there will be one pratipadika inside that and one pratyaya inside that. Okay. So asmad and suppu. Then kasmat. So you have the word kasmat, right? It is from the kim shabda, right? Panchami vibhakti ekavachanam of kim shabda. So you have the pratipadika is kim, makaranta, kim shabda, kim, and supratyaya is added and you get the word kasmat. Then sa again you have the tad. So for ta it is tad which is the pratipadika. So tad shabda rupa is sa, right? Saha saute is tad pullinga. Sate taha is tad strilinga, right? So tad is the pratipadikam, the base word, to which I add some supratyaya and arrive at the word sa. Okay, so always a subanta can be broken down as a pratipadika and some supratyaya. Okay. Now, so now what is this Kridanta? Where does this come? Right? So prayena sarve shabdaha dhatujaha bhavanti. So 95% of the words in Samskrita, they are from a dhatu. Okay, so they are from, if you go dig deeper into how this word came about, you will finally see that in the first step there is a dhatu sitting there. Over that dhatu we keep adding something, we mix up some pratyaya somewhere and we arrive at that final move, right? So they are all dhatujas. Dhatujas is born out of the dhatu. Say Ramaha, you know it is the base form is Rama and Suprat, right? So Pratipadika and Pratyaya, we have the Rama and Supratyaya. Now this Rama, where did you get this Rama? How did you get this Rama? So we have the Ram Dhatu. Okay, so Ram Dhatu and some Krit Pratyaya is there. Okay, so we will not be learning the names of those Krit Pratyayas. What are they? We will just see. We are only going to see the important Krit Pratyayas. Okay, we will be covering only 4 to 5 Krit Pratyayas. So here in the case of Rama, it is some Krit Pratyaya which is added to Ram iti Dhatu. So finally for Rama, it all starts from Ram Dhatu. Okay, so it starts from Dhatu, it ends up at a stage, after adding Krit Pratyaya, it reaches a stage where it is called as a Pratipadika. Right, so Rama and you add some Krit Pratyaya and you end up with the word Ram Dhatu and Krit Pratyaya, you end up with the word Rama, which is a Pratipadikam. And then finally we add the Sup and make it as a Subanta and make that as a valid word. You can't use Ramu Dhatu directly. Ram, it cannot be used as a valid word. Same way, after adding Krit Pratyaya, you get the word Rama. Rama cannot be used as a valid word. Finally, only after adding the Supratyaya, I will be able to use any one of the 21 forms of Rama, which are the valid words. They are the Subantas, they are called the Pada. Only if it is a Pada, you can use it in a sentence. Okay. So Rama is using a Krit Pratyaya on a Dhatu. Okay. So Dhatoho Binnaha Krit Pratyayaha Vihitaha. So Krit Pratyayas are always added to the Dhatu. You have to remember that. So speciality of this Krit is the Krit Pratyayas are a specific set of Pratyayas. Okay. So they are normally added only to the Dhatu. Krit yesham ante Kridantaha. Okay. So when you hear a Krit at the end of the word, they are called as the Kridantas. Basically what you are trying to do, from Ram Dhatu, which is a Dhatu, you are trying to come up with a noun form. From a Dhatu, if you add thing, it results in a verb form. Now from a Dhatu, if you add this Krit, what you are trying to do is you are getting a noun form. Okay, so Kridantas are called as noun forms. They are also Subantas because anyway we will be adding the Supratyaya. Right, so Ram plus some Krit Pratyaya is Rama. We don't use Rama as such. We will add Supratyaya and Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha. Right, so these are the noun forms. They are all Kridantas. Subantas. Kridantas are also Subantas. Right, so when you see examples, you will understand. So Sarvani, Sarvani Kridanta Padani Subantani. Okay, so these Kridantas are also Subanta. Okay, so at the top level, it is padam is of two types, subantam, tingantam, that's all. Now inside the subanta you can have different types of words. You can have avyayas, you can have subantas, kridantas, you can have tadditantas, right? So there are different pratyayas from which you can build a word, right? So you will have samasa, right? All these are classified as subanta. Finally kridanta, samasa, everything is under subanta. All these can be referred to as subanta. Okay, so now we will see. So a dhatu is there. So when you add a ting pratyaya, you know you get a tingantam, which is a verb form. Okay, so this is a verb form. The lakara rupas, they are all the verb forms. When you add a krit pratyaya, you result in, you get a pratipadika. You end up with a base form. Okay, so kridantam pratipadikam. Okay, so you add the krit pratyaya and you end up with kridantam pratipadikam. Now this as such cannot be used. It can't be called as a pada at this stage, and it should not be used in sentences. So pratipadikam is always a base form. It never use a pratipadika in your sentence while speaking or while writing. It is not valid. Okay, they will strike off that word. So you have to use only a subanta, right? So for this kridantam pratipadikam, we are adding those 21 supratyayas and we come up with what is called as a subantam. Okay, so this intermediate part, that is the kridantam pratipadikam, right? Finally, you add the sup, whatever it is, whatever pratipadika you arrive at, using different types of pratyayas, you can arrive at a pratipadika, and that pratipadika should be added with along with the sup, and then you can form the subanta and use it in your language, right? So we will see few krit pratyayas today. So there are around 120 and odd krit pratyayas. Okay, so in Vyakarana, if you see, there are 120 krit pratyayas discussed. So out of them, twa and tumun. So these are also krit pratyayas. So pat plus twa, pathitva. Pat plus tumun, patitum. Right? So this twa and tumun, which you have covered already in your Pathamala dvitiya sthara. Right? So you have already learnt about this, and you come across patitva gacchati, khaditva pathashalam gacchati, right? So after doing something, right, in that artha we add this twa pratyaya, which is a krit pratyaya, to a dhatu. Same way tumun pratyaya, to do something. So lekhitum ichchati, khaditum ichchati, he wants to do, right? So in that artha we are adding the tumun pratyaya. So luckily twa and tumun, when you add, you end up with an avyaya pada. Okay, so it is only one form. You have to remember only one form, which is pathitva with pathidhatu, likhitva, likhadhatu. Take the dhatu, add tva, arrive at one form, which is it. That's it. You use that form everywhere because it's an avyaya. Tumun also avyayam, patitum, lekhitum, namitum, nantum, right? All these forms, gantum, these are also avyayas. They don't have different forms. So only one form, one valid form, right? So about these we have already learnt in the previous thara. So at this level we will see what is a Shatru and Shaanach pratyaya. Okay, so there are two pratyayas, Shatru and Shaanach. They are different pratyayas. They are also krit pratyayas. We will also take a look at the tap pratyaya, tavatu pratyaya. Okay, so these are few important pratyayas because we see a lot of usage in the language, right? So any small patha, any grantha you take, you will see words which are made with these pratyayas. So if you are able to identify what kind of word it is, right? If it is a shatranta, if it is a tap pratyaya, then it is easy for you to understand the meaning of the sentence, right? So that is why we are learning. And note, Shatru, Shaanach and Tavatu is not given explicitly in the pustaka. They are not covering, any lesson is not covering about these pratyayas. We have the tavyat and aniyar. Okay, so this tavyat pratyaya, aniyar pratyaya are covered in Patha 24. Okay, so these are also krit pratyayas. So kind of we at this level we should at least be familiar with these 5 pratyayas. Tva, tumun, which you have already learnt. These are avyayas. Shatru, Shaanach, ta pratyaya, tavatu pratyaya. We will learn it, but it's not given in the pustaka. But we will be learning here. Tavyat and aniyar, it's given as a separate patha. So we will be learning these also. Okay, so these are the 5 pratyayas which we will have to know at this stage. Okay, so whenever I say a pratyaya, they carry a meaning with themselves. Okay, so they will have some meaning. So when they are added to a dhatu, all these are krit pratyayas, which means they are all added to dhatu. A krit is always added to dhatu. So you take a mula dhatu, add this krit pratyaya, it will add its meaning to that dhatu now. So you will come up with a noun form which has got that artha. Okay, so we will see the examples. Before that, say for example, when you see a sentence like Ramaha Ganam Shrunoti. So at this level, we should know which are all Subantas, which are Tinganta. Normally, most of the time, we will only have one Tinganta in the sentence. Usually, 99% of the time, we will see only one Tinganta. Of course, we can use more than one, but we will normally see one Tinganta, which you know is a Lakara Rupa. So very easy to identify. So Ramaha Ganam, these words are all Subanta. Shrunoti is Tinganta. So at this stage we should be very clear to identify which is the Tinganta in the sentence, and the remaining words will be Subanta. Okay, there is no doubt about it. So there will be a Tinganta which is the Lakara Rupa. Apart from it, whatever you see in a valid sentence, a grammatically right sentence, it will have only Subanta. Okay. So further you can drill down, okay, if this is the word, then I can drill down how this Pratipadika is formed. Is it using a Krit Pratyaya? Is it using a Tadita Pratyaya? Is it a Samasanta? You can further drill down, but at this stage we should know these are Subantas, this is the Tinganta. So these are noun forms, Ramaha, Ganam, they are called the noun forms. Shrunoti is a verb form. So how is Shrunoti? How we come up with Shrudhatu Ting Pratyaya. So don't worry about the procedure, I mean the other steps where we are Vikarana, all that. This is just a basic level. Okay, so Shrudhatu is there, Ting Pratyaya is there. It is Shrunoti is a form, Lat Lakara. Now Ramaha. So now we already saw Rama. So Rama is from the Ramu Dhatu. So there is a Dhatu Ramu, right? So Ramu Dhatu, you add the Krit Pratyaya, you end up with a Pratipadikam Rama, to which you add the Sup Pratyaya, and Prathama Ekavachanam is Ramaha. So after adding the Sup, you will have 21 different forms, right? The Shabda always should come to your mind. There is a Pratipadika which is formed adding some Krit Pratyaya. It could be any Pratyaya, not just Krit, but here we are learning the Krit Pratyaya, so I have chosen this. Then you add the Sup Pratyaya, which means this will have different forms. Okay. Now, then the word Gana is there. So Gai Dhatu, it is from Gai Dhatu, you add a Krit Pratyaya, and we finally we arrive at the Pratipadika, to which we add the Sup, and we get the word Gana. Okay. So here it is Dvitiya Vibhakti Ekavachanam, Ganam. Ramaha is Prathama Ekavachanam, right? So this much we should be able to identify, right? So what is a Subanta, what is a Tinganta, we should be clear. So any Subanta, if you break down, it will have a Pratipadika and a Supratyaya. Now we are further breaking that Pratipadika down to see how it is made. And here we are only going to study the 4 Krit Pratyayas. Okay, Shatru, Shaanach, Tavatu. And of course next class we will do the Tavyatarindir. So now Krit Pratyayas, if you classify, on a very basic note. So that which denotes present, Vartamana Kala Bodhaka, they are Shatru and Shaanach. Okay. So Shatru, Shaanach, these when in usage normally they convey the Vartamana Kala. Okay. So they are used denoting the present. Then Tavatu and Tav Pratyaya, they denote the past. Okay. So Tavatu, Patitavan, Tav Pratyaya, Patitaha. I have also given the forms there. Shatru is Patan. So Patan Ramaha. Labhavanaha, right? All these are Shatru Shaanach forms. Okay, when you say Labhavanaha, after the end of this class, you will be able to say that it is Labhu Dhatu and Shaanach Pratyaya, right? Why we have to find that out? So that I will know what meaning it conveys. Okay, so Tavatu and Tha denotes past. Twa and Tumun, they are Avyayas. Patitva, Patitum, we know about them. They are Avyayas, and those that denotes moods. Okay, so Tavyat Aniyar, so you must do it, you have to do it. Like you have the imperative sentences, we have the noun forms to denote the imperative thing. So we have the Tavyat and Aniyar. Okay, so these are the pratyayas we will learn about. Okay, so one denotes present, Shatru, Shaanach present, Tavatu and the past. Then these avyayas we have already studied, we will not be going in details. Denoting the moods avyat and aniyar, we have the patha in the pustaka, we will take a look at those pratyayas. Okay. Now we will first see the Shatru and Shaanach. So dhatubhyah Shatru pratyayah athava Shaanach pratyayah bhavati. So always remember Krit is added to dhatu. Krit pratyayas are always added to the dhatu. So you take a dhatu, you either add Shatru or you add a Shaanach pratyaya. Parasmaipadi dhatubhyah Shatru pratyayah bhavati. So Shatru and Shaanach, they carry the same meaning, right? They add the same meaning to that word, but only on Parasmaipada you can add a Shatru. And on Atmanepadi dhatu you can add a Shaanach. That is why we saw Patham Labhamanaha, 2 examples. Labhu is Atmanepadi dhatu, so I can only add Shaanach, I cannot add a Shatru there. Same way Path is a Parasmaipadi dhatu, so I can only add Shatru, I don't add a Shaanach there, right? So Parasmaipadi dhatu you can add the Shatru pratyaya. For Atmanepadi dhatu you can add a Shaanach pratyaya. What if the dhatu is a Ubhayapadi dhatu? Then it will have both rupas. Say Kri or Da dhatu, they have 2 forms. They have 9 Parasmaipadi forms, they have 9 Atmanepadi forms also. They are called as Ubhayapadi dhatu. For them you can use either the Shatru form or the Shaanach form. Anything is okay, right? So finally, what is the usage of these pratyayas in the sentence is what matters. So if you don't understand something in between, it is okay. How is the word used in the sentence? Okay, so Vakyeshu Katham Prayoga, that is important. So if the other grammar details are not or too complex for you at this stage, just ignore. Okay, so we will only see the usage which is important. Slowly you can come back and learn from how we came to know about this. All that you can slowly understand. So for now, dhatu krit pratyaya, you know you arrive at a kridantam pratipadikam, to which you add the sup and you get the noun form which is subantam. So here we will add the Shatru. So when I add Shatru, what remains is at. Okay, in Shatru we remove certain words. So this is all Shastra. Okay, so finally we arrive at the word at. Okay, so Pat and at will be added. Patat will be the form. Again, it is not simply adding 2 and like how we saw in the Tingantas, it is not patati, patati, right? It is for you to understand, we are saying like that. There could be different steps, different karyas in between. Don't worry about any of them. What is my pratipadika? When I add Shatru to Pat, what is the pratipadika? It is patat. For you to remember the form, I said it is at. So when you remember Shatru is at, you can remember it is patat. Okay. So for helping you remember only we give all these, but it is not simply pat, at, patat. It's not so easy. There are different rules that could apply, right? At specific stages. We will not deal about any of them. Simply remember the pratipadika after adding the Shatru is mostly the takaranta. Because at you will be adding at the end, so it will be takaranta. So pat, at, right? Now, after adding supratyaya, if I take patat, this form is not a valid form. I can't use it in my sentence. So I will add the 21 supratyayas, right? Now, if I add, I will end up with 3 rupas, say patan in pullinga, patanti in strilinga, patat in napumsakalinga, meaning it has got linga vyavastha also. Okay, so previously it was like Rama was a pullinga pada. So when I add simply the supratyaya, I will end up only with Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, those 21 forms. Whereas this patat, this can be used in any gender, right? Patat is not like Rama. Rama is a nitya pullinga. Whereas patat is not a nitya pullinga, or nitya strilinga, or nitya napumsakalinga. I can have 21 different varieties of pullinga, 21 different forms in strilinga, 21 different forms in napumsakalinga. That is the problem with the people. I mean, when people start studying, they feel it is too difficult to remember the forms because they have got 21 forms in pullinga separately, 21 forms in strilinga separately, and 21 forms in napumsakalinga separately. So you understand, Pat and Shatru will give rise to patat. Now this patat can have 21 forms in pullinga Patan, patantau, patantaha. It can have 21 forms in Strilinga. Patanti, patantyau, patantyah. Then it will have 21 forms in Napumsakalinga. Okay, Napumsakalinga, normally we don't use it in the normal usage. We are not using the Napumsakalinga forms. Mostly it is the Pullinga or the Strilinga, depending on your Vakya. So these, how do I remember the forms? You have to know the Shabda. Okay, so we will see few forms. Pat plus Shatru will be Patan in Pullinga, Patanti in Strilinga, and Napumsakalinga it is simply Patat. So these are the Prathama Ekavachanam. Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachanam form is this. Patan in Strilinga it is Patanti, then Patat. So Patan Ramaha, Patanti Sita. Rama who is studying, Sita who is studying. So these Shatrantas are normally used as adjectives. When you use them in the Vakya, we will see later, you will use them as adjective. So when they are used as a Visheshana Pada, as per the Visheshya's gender, you should use the right gender. So when I say Ramaha, it is Patan Ramaha, use the Pullinga Rupa. When I say Sita, Patanti Sita, right? Likh plus Shatru, Likhan, Likhan, Likhanto, Likhantaha. Then Likhanti in Strilinga, Likhat in Napumsakalinga. Dhavat is the Shatru, Dhavan, the Pratipadika is Dhavat. Okay, Pratipadika is Patat, Likhat, Dhavat, they are all Takaranta, right? Because you are adding the Shatru which is At. At is what you are adding. So you end up with Takaranta Pratipadika. Now Dhavan in Pullinga, Dhavanti in Strilinga, Dhavat in Napumsakalinga. Same way Krid Dhatu, Kridan in Pullinga, Kridanti Strilinga, Kridat. Gam Dhatu, Gachan, Gachan Ramaha, Gachanti Sita. Gachat. Okay, so Napumsakalingas normally we are not using in the sentences. You will not come across, very rarely you come across the Napumsakalinga forms. So it is important that you learn the forms of Pullinga and Strilinga. Okay, so how do I get the 21 forms? What are the 21 forms in Pullinga? What are the 21 forms of Shatru in Strilinga? Okay, it is not very difficult. It is fairly easy. Only thing, see, for example, you have the Patan. Here I have given the Shabda for Patan Pullinga Rupa. The Patat Pullinga Rupa. So Patan, Patantau, Patantaha. So if you have the Shabda Mandri Pustaka, you will have the Takaranta Pullinga Pachat Shabdaha. That will be there. So you will have to memorize the Pachat. The same applies to all the other dhatus. Most probably it is the same. Okay. So Patan, Patantau, Patantaha. He Patan, He Patantau, He Patantaha. So in Ekavachana, Bahuvachana, Dvivachana. Patantam, Patantau, Patataha. Patatha, Patadbhyam, Patadbhihi. Patate, Patadbhyam, Patadbhyaha. Patataha, Patadbhyam, Patadbhyaha. Patataha, Patatoho, Patatam. Patati, Patatoho, Patatsu. So if one Shabda, if you study, mostly the other dhatus will take the same pattern. Okay, so it is Patata, Solikata, same way Dhavata, right? So the dhatu could be different, but the forms will be alike. Okay, so it's not very difficult. It's not like each dhatu will take a different form. No, most probably it is kind of same. Okay, so you will have, of course, there are exceptions. This at this stage, please memorize the Pachat Shabda. Why you should memorize this? Because these words will be used as adjectives. Okay, so when I say Ramena, Patatha Ramena. Why Tritiya Vibhakti? It is Patatha is the Rupa. Patatha Ramena. Patadbihi Ramaihi. Patataha Ramasya. Patantaha Balakaha. Right? So depending on the Visheshyam, this Visheshana will have to take the right form. So you should be able to know the different forms. Right? So this is the Pachat Shabda, Takaranta, Pullinga Shabda. Strilinga, it is very easy. You all know the Gauri Shabda, right? So you all know Gauri, it is exactly like Gauri. Patanti, Patantyau, Patantyaha. Patanti, He Patanti, He Patantyau, He Patantya. Exactly like Gauri Shabda. Gaurim, Gauryau, Gaurihi, Patantim, Patantyau, Patantihi, Patantya, Patantibhyam, Patantibhyabhihi, Patantyai, Patantibhyam, Patantibhyaha, Patantyaha, Patantibhyam, Patantibhyaha, Patantyaha, Patantyoho, Patantinam, Patantyam, Patantyoho, Patantishu. Exactly like your Gauri Shabda. So when you use as a Visheshana for a Strilinga word, okay, so you will have to use the right word based on the Vachana and the Vibhakti of the Visheshyam in the Vakya. Then Napumsakalinga most probably you will not be using in the sentence. Very rare usage. Anyway, like the Jagat Shabda, it takes forms like Jagat Shabda, Patat Patanti, Patanti, Patat Patanti, Patanti. Again in Napumsakalinga, only thing is you will have to remember the Prathama, Dvitiya. Starting from Tritiya, it is same as the Pullinga forms. Okay, no difference between Pullinga and Napumsakalinga. Starting from Tritiya Vibhakti. Only the Prathama and Dvitiya we will have to remember. Patat Patanti, Patanti. Patat Patanti, Patanti. Only one you have to remember because Prathama and Dvitiya take the same forms. Right? So this is Napumsakalinga, but we rarely use them in sentences. Now, so we have Patan, Patanto, Patantaha. This is a Prathama Ekavachana Rupa is given here for each linga. So remember there is Patat, the Pratipadikam, which will take different forms in Pullinga, it will take different forms in Strilinga, and it will take different forms in Napumsakalinga. Okay. So again, Likhan will take Likhan, Likhanto, Likhantaha, Likhanti, Likhantyau, Likhantyaha. Then Likat, Likhanti, Likhanti. Then Dhavan, Dhavantau, Dhavantaha. Then we have Dhavanti, Dhavantyau, Dhavantyaha. Then Dhavat, Dhavanti, Dhavanti. Okay. So same way I have, you can try writing these verb forms, noun forms in Prathama Vibhakti at least, right? Patan, Patanto, same way Likhan, Likhanto, Likhantaha. Dhavan, Dhavanto, Dhavantaha. Kridan, Kridanto, Kridantaha. Gachan, Gachanto, Gachantaha. Okay. So this is how it comes in the Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachanam. So we will see the important thing is how we are using it in a sentence. Say for example, there is a sentence Balaha Patati Hasati Cha. Okay, so a boy, he is studying, he is laughing. Okay, so we can say Balaha Pathan Hasati. Pathan Balaha Hasati. So normally Shatrantas are used as Visheshana. When they are used as Visheshana means what? Now for example, when I say Chaturaha Ramaha, say Unnataha Vrikshaha. So you have Dirgaha Dandaha. So when you have such Visheshanam, you are distinguishing it from a group based on that guna. Say there are 5 sticks. When I say Dirgaha Dandaha, then you go for that long one. Okay, so you are differentiating using the Visheshana. And there we have always seen Visheshana to be the Gunavachakas. They are talking about some guna. Say it is lengthy, long stick, or the intelligent boy, Chaturaha Ramaha, Krishaha Ramaha, lean boy. Right? We have seen Visheshana like that. Right? Deenaha, very poor boy. Right? So lots of Visheshanas you have come across, and mostly they are all giving you some attribute, talking about some guna of that person. Right? Here in Shatranta, how is it acting? It is tagging a kriya to that karta. Say that boy is laughing and he is studying. Now I am taking that action of studying and making it as a Visheshana for that balaka. Boy who is studying, okay? Previously it was the boy who is intelligent, the boy who is short, the boy who is playful. Something like guna we used to identify the boy. Now we are identifying the boy with the kriya he is doing. Okay, so Pathan Balaha means the boy who is studying. I am identifying that Bala, tagging a kriya to him. So Pathan Balaha Hasati. So either I can say Balaha Patati Hasati cha, athava I can use a Shatru. Shatru Prayoga Pathan in Prathama Ekavachanam Pathan Patanto Patantaha we saw. So Patan Balaha Hasati. Right? Same way, you can use in this way. All the 7 vibhaktis can be used. Say Ramaha Likati Tena Saha Mata Tishtati. So Rama writes, and along with him the mother stands. Okay, so mother is standing alongside. Now, Likata Ramena Saha. In the place of Tena, I can say Ramena Saha, right? Ramena Saha Mata Tishtati. So what kind of Rama? Now he is writing. So I am tagging that action of writing along with Rama. I am putting that action as a Visheshana. How can I put an action as a Visheshana? Using the Shatru Pratyayas. Okay, so Likatha Ramena means Rama, by Rama who is writing. Iti artha. Likatha Ramena. Why Likata? Because Likan Likantau Likantaha, Likantam Likantau Likataha, Likata Likadbhyam Likadbihi. Tritiya Ekavachanam is Likatha. That is why you should know the Shabda Rupa. If you know the Shabda Rupa, you can put the right form because it's an adjective for Rama. So Rama is the Karta for writing action, right? Rama is doing the writing action. Now this action is going to be his Visheshana. Okay, the action is going to be his Visheshana. So here I have to put the right word, right Shatranta. So I should know the forms, all the 21 forms of this Shatru Pratyaya. If I know, I can put the right form here. Katha Ramena Saha Mata Tishtati is one way I can express instead of expressing it in two ways. To like Ramaha Likati Tena Saha Mata Tishtati. I can put it in a single shot saying Nikatha Ramena Saha Mata Tishtati. Right? So, when such a sentence is given, say Likatha Ramena Mata Tishtati, you should know how this Likatha or what is this Likatha. Only if you come to know, okay, this is a Shatranta, then you will understand the meaning that it is an adjective for Rama, which means Rama who is writing. Okay, so that artha you will be able to understand better if you know what kind of word it is. Okay. Ramaha patati tasmai mata phalarasam dadati. So pathate Ramaya mata phalarasam dadati. So tasmai dadati. To him she gives the phalarasa. To whom? To Rama. What is Rama doing? He is studying. So now that action of studying is going to be used as a Visheshana for Rama. To Rama who is studying, mother is giving the juice. Okay. So patate Ramaya. What is that patate? It is Shatru Pratyaya. Patidatu Shatru Pratyaya Chaturthi Vibhakti Ekavachanam. Why Chaturthi Ekavachanam? Because Ramaya is in Chaturthi Ekavachana. It is a Visheshana for Rama. Rama is the karta of that action. Who is doing the patana kriya? Rama is doing the patana kriya. So you are tagging the action to its karta. Okay. I will always tag an action as a Visheshana to its karta. Okay. That is the role of Shatranta in a sentence. That is why you use a Shatru Pratyaya in the sentence. So patate Ramaya. To Rama who is studying. Mata palarasam dadati. The mother gives the juice. Iti artha. Then Ramaha patati tasmat pita pustakam swikaroti. So Rama is studying and his father takes his book or some pustaka from him. Okay, so from him tasmat meaning Ramat. Right? Ramat pita pustakam swikaroti. Now what kind of Rama? Rama who is studying. So Pathataha Ramat. Pathataha is Panchami Ekavachanam of this Patat Shabda. Okay, Patat Shabda in Pullinga. Now you have to choose only the Pullinga form because it is going to be a Visheshana for Rama here. If you have instead of Rama, if you have the word Sita, then you have to take from the Strilinga form. Okay, Patanti, Patantyau, Patantyaha, Patantyaha. You have to take that form. Okay, so that is why Shatru Pratyayantas are always used as Visheshana. So depending on the word to which it is acting as a Visheshana, you have to choose whether you have to use the Pullinga Rupa, the Strilinga Rupa or the Napumsakalinga Rupa, which is very rare. We will not come across, right? So Pullinga or Strilinga, you will have to decide based on the Visheshyam. Here it is Rama, Pullinga, so I say Pathataha Ramat. From Rama who is studying, Pita Pustakam Swikaroti. Then Ramaha Pachati, Tasya Swasa Agachati. So Rama is cooking, his sister is coming there. So Ramasya Swasa Agachati. So instead of Tasya, I will have Ramasya. Now what kind of Rama? Pachataha Ramasya. Rama who is cooking. right? So understood the usage of Shatru. So Shatru is used in this sense. It always acts as a Visheshana for the Karta, right? It is some action, right? It is Shatru is added to Dhatu. You know that all Krit Pratyayas are added to Dhatu, right? Now we are using that to act as a Visheshana for the Karta of that action, right? So here Pachata Kriya is done by Rama. So Pachataha Ramasya Swasa Agachati, right? So the sister of Rama who is cooking comes. Iti artha. Ramaha pachati tasmin swasa snihyati. So swasa, the sister has affection in Rama. Iti artha. Tasmin in Rama. She has affection in Rama. So tasmin ityukte Rame. Right? Rame swasa snihyati. Now, Kidrishe Rame, what kind of Rama? He is cooking, right? So you have to use the Saptami Ekavachanam of Pachat Shatru forms. Pachati Rame, Pachati Rame. Or in Rama who is cooking. In Rama who is cooking, Swasa Snishyati. Okay, so this is the usage of Shatru. So Shatru is always used as for Parasmaipadi Dhatu. Okay, so you can't use Shatru on a Atmanepadi. For Labh, you cannot have a Shatranta, right? Labh is Atmanepadi Dhatu. You can't use Shatru. So Parasmaipadi Dhatubhyaha Bhavati, or it could be Ubhayapadi Dhatu. It is where Vartamana Kalarte Bhavati. Okay, so it is in the sense, used in the sense of present tense. Kartaram Suchayati. Karta of that action. Here, Patataha Rama means Rama is the Karta for the Patana Kriya. Okay, whatever is the Visheshana, that will be, the Visheshana will be to the Karta of that Kriya. Okay, so you always add a Dhatu and Shatru. So that Kriya, whoever does that Kriya, no, for that Karta only it will be a Visheshana. Right? So Kartaram Suchayati. Sapta Vibhaktishu, Trishu Lingeshu, Trishu Vachaneshu Prayoga. So that is a problem in remembering the forms. So as far as Patitum is concerned, it is Avyaya and only one form. No problem at all. You can use it however you want. Whereas when you come to Shatru or Shaanach, you arrive at, you add the Krit Pratyaya, you arrive at the Pratipadikam. Now that Pratipadikam will be added to Supratyaya, but on 3 lingas. Pullinga separately 21 forms, Strilinga separately you will have 21 forms, and Napumsakalinga separately you have 21 forms. Okay, so Strilinga it is easy, just the Gauri Shabda. All you have to know is the Pratipadikam. What is the Pratipadikam? Get the forms like Gauri. Okay, Dirgha Hikaranta, Gauri Shabdavat. In Pullinga, learn the Pachat Shabda from your Shabda Manjari, or I have even shared the Shabda in the slide. You can memorize it. It is not difficult. It is easy only. You can memorize the Shabda Rupa so that you will be able to use the right word in your sentence. Okay. In Visheshya Visheshana Bhavena Prayoga, always it is mostly used as a Visheshana, okay, in the sentences. So this is all about Shatru Pratyaya. So before taking Shaanach, if there are any questions, I can. So now this Padam has got the Vakya which is constructed with.
But Pachat, if you choose, it shows Napumsak only.
Huh?
Pardon? If you choose Pachat.
Ashtadhyayi, don't say Ashtadhyayi portal, it doesn't have all the forms. It doesn't have Pullinga, Strilinga. Most of the cases it doesn't have. You can check your Shabda Manjari, or that is why I have added it in the slides. You can use it from here. Okay. So that is all about Shatru. Okay, now Shaanach, the same Artha for Shaanach, just that it is added to a Atmanepadi Dhatu. Similar, everything is similar for Shatru and Shaanach. Only difference is Shatru is added to Parasmaipadi Dhatu, Shaanach Pratyaya is added to a Atmanepadi Dhatu. That is all difference. Of course, the forms are different. Right? Labh, you add Shaanach Pratyaya. So when you add Shaanach, you end up hearing Ana or Mana. Okay, the Pratipadika, there it was At, right? Pat and Shatru, At, I said. Patat will be the Pratipadikam. Here it will be Labhamana. Okay. Okay. In some cases it is also ana. Say shayana. For she dhatu it is shayana. Some cases it is mana. Some cases it is ana. With familiarity, I mean, as you go on studying, it becomes easy to identify. Don't worry. So labh and shanach, you will hear labha mana. Mana or ana is heard at the end of the pratipadika. Very easy. Now it is akaranta. Okay, so how is the pratipadikam? It is akaranta labhama. There it was patat takaranta. So the takaranta shabdas were little complex for you. Now it is simple akaranta. So now you have to add, this is a pratipadika, you can't use it in the sentence. You have to add the supratyaya, come up with 21 different forms in Strilinga, Pullinga and Napumsakalinga. Again you have the linga vyavastha here. So labhamanaha, labhamana, labhamanam. But very, very simple, like Rama in Pullinga, Sita in Strilinga, Vanam in Napumsakalinga or Phalam, whatever, right? So you have already learnt at very basic level only you will have learnt Rama Shabda, Sita Shabda and this Phala Shabda. Okay, it's Akaranta, so it is very simple. The forms are very simple. Labhamanaha, Labhamanau, Labhamanaha, like Rama, Ramo, Ramaha. Labhamana in Strilinga, Sita, Site, Sitaha, Labhamana, Labhamane, Labhamanaha. Then Phalam, Phale, Phalani, Napumsakalinga, Labhamanam, Labhamane, Labhamanani. Okay, so the forms are fairly simple for Shaanach Pratyaya. You have the Linga Vachana. Okay, so always remember the Pratyaya is added, you get a Pratipadika. This Pratipadika will now take 21 forms because of the addition of Sup. Okay, and all these Kridanta Pratipadikam, they can have different forms in different lingas. So you arrive at 21 in Pullinga, 21 in Strilinga, 21 in Napumsakalinga. So for Shatru, you have to remember the Takaranta Pachat for Pullinga. For Strilinga, it is simple Gauri Shabda. Napumsakalinga, don't worry, it is Jagat and we don't use it much. Shaanach again, very easy. In Pullinga, it is like Rama Shabda. Mana or Ana is heard at the end after you add Shaanach. For Strilinga, it is Sita, Akaranta Shabda, Labhamana, Akaranta Strilinga, and Labhamanam, like Phalam in Napumsakalinga. Okay. So, Vand plus Shaanach. So, Vandamanaha in Pullinga, Vandamana in Strilinga, Vandamanam. So, this is Prathama Vibhakti, Ekavachanam. Labh, Labhamanaha, Labhamana, Labhamanam. Kridhatu, Kurvanaha. Kr is a Ubhayapadi Dhatu. So, you can have Shatru also, Shaanach also. So, Ubhayapadi Dhatus can take both the forms. Whichever form you want to use, you can use. Either Shaanach or Shatru. It doesn't matter. Both mean the same. The Artha conveyed by both the Pratyayas are same. Only that the form is different. When I say Kurvanaha or Kurvan, the Artha conveyed is the same. Right? So, Kurvanaha, Kurvana, Kurvanam. Da dhatu again Ubhayapadi. Dadanaha, Dadana, Dadanam. Okay. So, Pullinge, Akarantaha, Pullingaha, Rama Shabdavat Rupani. The 21 forms are just like Rama in Pullinga. In Strilinga, it is Akaranta Strilinga, Sita Shabdavat Rupani. In Strilinga, it is simply Sita Shabda. And in Napumsakalinga, like Vana Shabda, Vanam Vane Vanani, Vanam Vane Vanani, rest is like Pullinga, right? So, simple forms are simple. So, I have not put the Shabda Rupa here because the forms are just Rama, Sita and Vana. So, Yedh Dhatu is a Atmanepadi Dhatu. So, Yedhamanaha, Yedamanau, Yedamanaha. Prathama Ekavachanam, Prathama Dvivachanam, Prathama Vibhakti, Bahuvachanam. Yedhamanaha, Yedamanau, Yedamanaha. Yedhamanaha, Vrikshaha. So, the Vriksha that grows, right? The Artha is same. Whatever Shatru, the Artha, it conveyed, the same Artha will be conveyed by Shaanach. Only thing, the Rupa is different because we hear Ana or Mana here. There it was different Rupa. And the same usage. Again, this is also used as Visheshana. Okay, so Yed means to grow, the growing plant. This action of growing becomes a Visheshana for the Vriksha. Okay, everything else is same. Whatever I told for Shatru applies for Shaanach also. Only the Rupa is different. So, Yedhamana, Yedhamane, Yedhamanaha, like Sita, Site, Sitaha. Prathama Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam, Bahuvachanam. Napumsakalinga yedhamanam sasyam, yedhamane sasye yedhamanani sasyani. The growing plants iti arthaha. Then Kridhatu kurbanaha, kurbanau, kurbanaha. Okay, again the one who does iti artha. Kurbana, kurbane, kurbanaha. Sita, site, sitaha. Kurbanam, kurbane, kurbanam. So ana or mana is heard at the end after you add Shaanach, and it takes rupa like Rama in Pullinga, Sita in Strilinga, Napumsakalinga, it is Vanam, right? So this is all about Shaanach. So we'll see two examples. Nakshatrani prakashante. So the stars, they shine. Ramaha tani ganayitum yatate. So Rama tries, yatate, he tries to count to them. Tani ganayitum, to count them, he is trying. He is trying to count the nakshatra. So in the place of tani, I can say nakshatrani. Ramaha nakshatrani ganayitum yatate. He tries to count the nakshatra. Kidrishani nakshatrani. What kind of nakshatras? Now I will bring in the action, the shining action, right? So that shining will become a noun form. It will take a noun form and it will be a visheshana for nakshatra. Prakashamanani nakshatrani. Ramaha prakashamanani nakshatrani ganayitum yatate. So Rama tries to count the stars which are glowing. Okay, the stars, nakshatram is a visheshyam for which the visheshana is the shanajanta. Okay, the Shaanach pratyayanta is the visheshana. Prakashamanani. How do we identify? You hear that mana, that is the clue. Ana or mana is heard. Okay, then that is a Shaanach pratyaya. And normally Shaanach usage is also like Shatru as an adjective. Sasyani vardhante tesham imani pushpani bhavanti. So the trees, plants grow. Sasyani vardhante, the plants grow. Tesham imani pushpani. So these flowers are of them. Iti artha. So instead of tesham, I can say sasyanam. Right? So kidrishanam sasyanam. What kind of sasya? Sasyani vardhante. They are growing. So the growing sasya, the growing plants. Iti artha. So here vardhante vridhidhatu, you have to add a Shaanach. Vridh, we add Shaanach. And we come up with the Shashti Bahuvachana Rupa Vardhamananam Sasyanam, like Ramanam. So Vardhamana is the Pratipadikam. Vridhidhatu, Shaanach will end in Vardhamana, Akaranta Pratipadikam. Then you have to decline because Sasya is a Napumsakalinga Padam. Decline like Vanam Vane Vanani. Vardhamanam Vardhamane Vardhamanani. So Shashti Bahuvachanam is Vardhamananam. Right? Sasyanam imani pushpani bhavanti. So this is the usage of Shaanach in the sentence. So Atmanepadi dhatubhyaha eva bhavati. Shaanach can only be added to Atmanepadi dhatus. Vartamana kala. Okay, the kala conveyed is Vartamana kala. Atra kartaram suchayati. Here in this sentence it is talking about the karta. So Vardhamana is the growing action which is whose karta is Sasya. The Sasya is only growing, the plant is only growing, right? So it is acting here as a karta for the, it is talking about the karta. Sapta vibhaktishu, trishu lingeshu, trishu vachaneshu prayogaha, visheshana visheshya bhavena prayogaha. Okay, so it is also used like a visheshana. Yes, if you have doubts, you can raise your hands. Purnima Mohoday.
भगिनी वर्धमानानां सस्यानां सप्तमी भवेत् खलु वर्धमाने वृक्षे इति भवेत् खलु पुष्पाणि वर्ध.
Here the tesham, see, it is according to the previous sentence. It is not an independent sentence. I am combining the previous two. Sasyani vardhante tesham imani pushpani bhavanti. These are of them. These flowers are of those trees. Iti artha. You can have saptami. If you have saptami in the previous sentence, you can put a saptami. Not a problem. See here, what is indicated in the previous sentence, I am using Shashti because of that tesham. So these imani pushpani tesham bhavanti, it is of those trees iti artha.
अस्तु अस्तु भगिनि धन्यवादः.
So how to use the form is more important. Whether it is Saptami is also okay there. Saptami or Shashti, how should we use this Shanach as Visheshana? That is what we will understand. Sriranjani Vijaykumar.
Namaskar. Even I wanted to ask the same question. Vardhamananam becomes Shashti, not Saptami.
Here, because of Tesham, see, I am using this word in the second sentence.
I was thinking of
Teshu
Vardhamana.
Yamani Bhavanti is also correct. Teshu you also use. If the sentence had Teshu, then I would have put Saptami there. Because it had Tesham, I had used the Shashti. Both are fine. Both are valid. Don't worry. Yes, Saptami you can use.
Okay. Thank you.
Annie Mary Modi.
Namaste. I just wanted to confirm this is the same Kridanta we use for the two actions. Balakaha pathan gacchati. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Only here it is an adjective.
Yes. Normally usage in Prathama is, it makes more, adds more value to the language when you use it in the other vibhakti. These are the real prayogas in the other vibhakti, except Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, where you use it as a Visheshana. In those vibhaktis, it is adding lot of beauty to the language. Prathama, it is very simple, Pathan Gacchati. That's different type of a sentence only, I would say. Yes, same.
Yes, thank you.
Shamala, begin.
So it depends on which vibhakti that means the other sentence is taken. So with that we have to use this. That will come in place of.
No, I am not getting your question, Bhagini. What is it?
That Tesham you said, then this Tani, this you said Tani, Ramaha Tani Ganitum Yatate. So you said Prakashamana. Okay. Then here you have said Sasyani Vardhante Tesham. So that's why you have used Vardhamananam. Now supposing there is a independent sentence.
See, if it is an independent sentence, what I am trying to finally do, that is what you should understand. I am trying to make an action as a Visheshana for its Karta. If there is a need, then we do it. So, Ramaha Tani Ganayitum Yatate. So, here I have a sentence saying that the stars are shining and Rama is trying to count those. When I say those, what are those? I am now putting them together. I can say as two sentences. Now I am trying to say Rama is trying to count the stars that are shining. So all I want to do is to make that action as a Visheshana for that nakshatra and put everything together in one shot. If there is such a need, you can do. If there is already an independent sentence, then we will have to see if something could be, if there is a need to have such a prayoga. The prayoga depends on the necessity. Here, instead of having two sentences, I want to put them as one sentence. So, Sasyani Vardhante Teshu. Okay, if you are comfortable with Saptami, let us use Saptami only. So, Teshu Imani Pushpani Bhavanti. So, the plants are growing. In them are seen these flowers. Iti. So, now I want to have one single sentence. That is why the first sentence where there is a karta and a kriya, I am using that karta in my second sentence and that kriya is tagged as a visheshana for that karta. That is how I am framing the second sentence. If you talk about already existing independent sentence, then we should analyze the sentence, what it is trying to convey. If we can have a Shatranta there, all that we have to see. I can't independently, we can't take a call as far as a separate sentence is concerned.
Dhanyavada, Madhya, Dhanyavada.
So this is like to understand how we use this. Okay, so going forward, if you see a sentence in say Shakuntalam, if we come across something, we should be in a position to say, okay, He is trying to say something which is doing something, this action. So this action is tagged to something. It is as a Visheshana, it is used. So that level of understanding will come if you come across these Shatranta. So Prakashamanani is a Kridanta, it's a Shaanach Pratyayanta. So when I say Kurvan, it is a Shatranta. If you get that knowledge, then it is easy to identify the Artha, to understand the Artha basically. Okay, so this was just a very basic patha and it could be fast for few of you, but please go through the slides once again. We will stop here. So there is one more question. Okay, one second. Ravi Shankar Mohde, I have a question.
This second sentence I am a bit confused. First sentence, the nakshatrani is a part of Tani, so it becomes Prakashamanani nakshatrani. Second, this Sasyani is for Tesham. So why it becomes Sasyanam is different. Vardhamananam is okay.
See, because of Sasyanam only it is taking Vardhamananam is an adjective for Sasya is the important thing here. Tesham means of whom? Of the plants. Tesham indicates what in the first sentence. So, Sasyani Vardhante, Tesham Imani Pushpani Bhavanti. In that, what is Tesham referring to?
Sasyani, Sasya.
Sasya. That is why instead of Tesham, I am saying Sasyanam. Instead of Tesham, I am using Sasyanam. Now, in my first sentence, I have an action which that Sasya is doing. Sasyani Vardhante. So, instead of Sasyanam Imani Pushpani Bhavanti, now what will I do with that Vardhana Kriya? Vardhana Kriya is left out if I simply put Sasyani in the second sentence in the place of Tesham. So now I will bring that Vardhana Kriya as a Visheshana for the Sasya. So Sasyanam Imani Pushpani Bhavanti. Astu. Kidrishanam Sasyanam Vardhamananam Sasyanam. Vardhamananam is Shashti only because the usage of Sasya is in Shashti. Not because of any other reason. This Shaanach Pratyaya will always look at the Visheshya. What is the Visheshya? What is the Vibhakti? What is the Linga? What is the Vachana? These three things it will look. Only then it will take its form. Vardhamana will take Shashti. Here it is Napumsakalinga, Shashti Vibhakti Bahuvachanam. Why? Because Sasyanam is Napumsakalingam, Shashti Bahuvachanam. That is why it is taking this form. Okay, so we are trying to put that action as an adjective, that is all. So if Tesham is confusing, okay, take Teshu, whatever it is. You can have it in Saptami also, not an issue. Namrata Bhagini?
Here you said Kartaram Suchati. When two sentences are given, in that first the sentence is Karta, and for them, for that Karta, I am using this Shaanach Pratyaya. But what if I want to use a sentence independently, having the Shaanach Pratyaya? In that, this Nakshatrani is not Karta, right? It will not be a Karta.
Whatever it is, your question is very valid. You come up with the Shaanach or the Shatranta by adding the Pratyaya to a Dhatu, a specific Dhatu. So in this case, it is Pra and Kash Dhatu. So Prakashamanani, you are adding it to the Kash Dhatu. Who is the Karta for the Kashana Kriya? That is all you have to see. Is it Rama? Is it Nakshatra? So there are, from your point of view, there are two Kartas here. You try to say that Rama is also there, Nakshatra, that is what you are meaning, right?
Yes, but
whatever be the sentence, okay, let us forget this sentence. Whatever be the sentence, the Shatru or the Shaanach is added to a Dhatu, which means I am making that Dhatu into a noun form, right? That Kriya, that some action only is there. To that action I am adding the Krit, whether it is Pat and Shatru or Labhu or Shatru or Likh and Shatru, whatever it is. You have to see who is the Karta for that particular action. There could be some other Kriya Padam in the sentence also. Here if you see Ramaha Yatate, Yatate is also a Kriya. Right? Prakashanam abhibhavati, this Yatanam also bhavati. Who is the Kriya of that Dhatu for which I am adding the Shatru or Shaanach? Okay, it will always represent that Kriya, that Karta, not the general Karta in a sentence. You can have some other karta also in the sentence, agreed, but I am always adding Shatru or Shaanach to some dhatu only. Now that dhatu is indicating some kriya. If it is likha, it is lekana kriya. If I am adding Shatru to patha, it is patana kriya. Now this lekana kriya or patana kriya will have a karta. Who is that person? I have to try to find out. And for that person, this is the visheshana. You can't use it as a visheshana for any karta in the sentence.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Understood?
Yes.
Okay, so you maybe we will understand better when we read the patha. Further, we have on the nibandha, then we have on patha, and then Shakuntalam lessons are there. Then and there, when it comes, I will try to explain it once again. So at that time, you will definitely understand. Okay. So for now, just get a basic idea. The idea of it's like introducing you to Shatru and Shaanach. That is all. I am not going to details, and I am not giving you lot of examples to understand completely. That is not the idea. Idea is to get a basic idea about this Shatru and Shaanach, so that when we read the next patha, okay, so we will at that time when I say okay, this is a Shatranta, you can try to relate why do we call this or what is the role that this word is playing in the sentence. All that you will understand better. Okay, so avagamanam bhavishyati. Please don't worry. Okay?
Thank you, Bhagini. Very well explained, Bhagini. I think we have done Shatru in Pathamala 2.
Really?
Some of the Shatru Pratyayas. Yes, Bhagini.
Okay.
Very well explained, Bhagini. Thank you.
Dhanyavadaha. We will stop here. So next class we will see this Tavatu and Tapratyaya, and then we will go into this Tavyataniya. Completing all these Pratyayas, we are good to go to each lesson. Okay, there are a lot of Shakuntram lesson, Ramayana lessons are there. So once we complete these Pratyayas, you will be able to identify or understand the word nicely. So we will go into the Patha. So we'll stop here. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukkha. Dhanyavadaha. Today I will post exercise on Karmani Prayoga. Please try. Dhanyavadaha.
Dhanyavadaha.